Come out. I built the frame, 10 by 12, solid plate, quarter-inch plate window. and they come out. This glass company come out and set the glass. And it went all through those earthquakes that we had done. And as far as I know, it's still.
What was the biggest earthquake that you remember?
Pardon?
What was the biggest earthquake that you can remember?
33 was a big one we had in Bell where I lived. But we had that one, that North Georgia quake, and we lived at Hemet. And I'll tell you, Jeff, that was a doozer. That bounced us around, and we're 150 miles away. But it was a doozer, wasn't it, honey? That Northridge.
Yeah, Jeff, when they had the earthquake in 33, I don't think I was married to you then.
No.
I was working in a store in the back, and I had just, it was 5 minutes to 6, and they had stopped dishes, and I was,
I just been up at school. I've been out of school. I got out in 33, and
32.
I didn't have too much a steady job. So
that was high school?
I went up to, up at school, we had certain days we had dancing up there in the patio. So I just got home, and we went up to dance, and we was all in the kitchen. And man, everything started tumbling out of the cupboards. And Mom yelled, "Earthquake!" Man, I had a little Model T and had a driver, and it was just going like this. And all the wires were, you know how telephone poles, they were coming together, sparking. Yeah, they were arcing.
No.
They were arcing.
Did you ever get used to these earthquakes?
Pardon?
Did you ever get used to these earthquakes when you lived in Bell?
No, we're not good, not big ones like that. Oh. Man, this is a doozer. Man,
where you live in Hemet, can you feel the earthquakes?
Yeah,
there?
we have quite a few of them out there. And we're on a fault, too. We're on one of the worst faults they are. They got
the San Andreas fault?
Was it 1812 that they had, or
I don't know,
1912?
about a month and a half ago, Cecil and I were laying in there in bed. He was in his room, and I said, "Earthquake," and he was, yep.
The Keystone Mine or something. That really had and it was just like this. Man, I said, "Stay still, Virginia." Did you get out of bed? Yeah, you got out of bed and ran around.
Jeff, this other one we had, Huntington Park, we lived in Bell.
No.
We were setting up in Idaho, and we were sitting in that dining room that I built, and we didn't know a quake was coming. And Pumpkin was sitting in our lap, and he sensed this quake, and he kind of just perked up, and then all of a sudden we felt, well, it wasn't a big one, but it was a little shaker, and that guy knew that quake was coming before we did. It was something.
That's this lady's son got hit in the head, and he was laying there dead.
But what about during World War II? There was something about the submarines coming up on the shore of L.A.
They did.
Did you ever see one?
And they fired a shot. No, but we're in the little garage house. It was 44, and we first time we moved onto this property, what time was it, honey? 1, 2 in the morning?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Sirens come on, and we had a big kind of a commotion going. And they said that some submarines of course they kept it pretty much. You know, they didn't tell you everything going on. And I don't know exactly. You know what actually happened on it? Did they land, or
did they ever confirm that there was Japanese submarines off the coast?
They kind of had confirmed it in a way, but we were kept so in the secret. Oh, we don't know what happened.
What about, wasn't there like a glider plant near your residence?
A glider plant.
Yeah, where they made the World War II gliders, where they bring troops in to Europe.
the company I worked for, we made hundreds of gliders that they used in the invasion of Germany and France. Yeah, and they were beautiful gliders, and we made the wings for them. They're all made out of plywood, and yeah, we made hundreds of them, and they were all used in the invasion.
In Europe, right?
Yeah.
What did you do?
Well, I worked in the shipping department for several years, and then I got into production control. Then at the end of the war, I ran the refrigerator line and stuff like that.
How old were you?
How old?
Yeah, how old?
Well, and
27, you had two kids.
I was 30,
No, you
about
weren't. Yeah, you were.
37 when the war ended.
No, not 42. We only got married, you was only 26.
I was 26, but 37, see? Well, yeah. I guess it must have been about 37 when I built
Anyhow,
her
they
house
exempt
up.
him, and Jimmy would have gotten an exemption if he had waited one day. I don't know, somehow they just got him.
We made ammunition cases, shell casings. We made drop tanks. We had a machine that we built that we could punch a half a drop tank for the P-38s at one punch. Then we welded them together, and so they could, have enough gas to get where they're going. Then we also made all the hatch covers for the ships, and then we made the ventilators, big ventilators that got air into the ships. We could punch them out, half of them, with this press. Then we'd weld them together.
And then we went in business for Pacific Export Packing, Jeff.
Every piece of equipment that's sent over, we had to rust-proof it. We had to wrap it in wax paper
And
and
we made so
seal
much
it.
money, it was pitiful, and they didn't think we made enough, and they went and raised it 10%. And here we were making so much money, and they went and raised 10% more, and finally we got in the business so big that they gave us a resident inspector from the engineer that stayed there all the time.
What was the name of your company?
Pacific Export.
And I was so scared we was going to get put in jail for all this crap. I made Cecil quit.
What did you do right after the war then? I mean, like, when did you get into being a building inspector?
I went back to Weber's, and I went back to the company I was with, and I worked to them till about 1950. And so
Where do you think you're going to put it?
I kind of was getting in a rut where I wasn't getting ahead. So I found that there was a position for superintendent of another refrigeration company. So I applied and I got the job, and they were kind of a fly-by-night. They were making home refrigerators and then selling the food factories and deal with it, see. And it was kind of a fad, but anyway, I worked there for about 2 years, and they finally they just kind of quit business. They didn't go bankrupt, but they just kind of, then I went to work in construction with some buddies of mine that I worked with, and I worked tracks, and I framed, and I worked that with a while, and then that was a little hard work, framing and all, and I was a little guy. Then her cousin Joe says, "Why don't you go to work for the city?" So he says, I said, "Well, is there any jobs open?" "Yeah, I'll go down and introduce you to the guy." So.
Is that when you started eating donuts?
Building inspector.
I said, "What?"
Is that when you started eating donuts?
Yeah.
Taking coffee breaks all the time?
Yeah.
And then I went to the work for city and kind of worked around for a long time.
Boy, I'll tell you, somebody's getting some sleep. My baby.
Little bit. The company I work for, the showcase company, they sold out and just liquidated the company.
Right after you went to the city.
Yeah.
Well, good. You made the right move.
Yeah, well, I was lucky, see. If I'd have been with them, oh, I probably could have got something to do, but, you know, I was with them for about 20 years, and you get in a rut. They said, well, you want to raise, if we raise you, we got, just like all the pilots. If we give the pilots a raise, we got to give everyone a raise, see. So you got to get to be captain, see, so you get more money.
What year did you retire from the city?
70.
How old were you?
57.
Same year I was born.
Well, what did you do at 57? That's pretty young.
Damn young.
That's right.
I thought I was
Oh, I
Do a lot of fishing?
I worked on apartments like you did.
We had
I
12
painted,
apartments.
You were
I
a
figured,
slumlord.
Jeff, I figured I wanted to, I
Fish.
kind of had in my mind, I didn't want to be too old to go hunting and fishing.
Hey, Jeff, when he wanted to go albacore fishing, you know.
We had a guy's boat, Jeff. He says, you can take this boat and maintain it. And we fished albacore, yellowtail. I never got to show you that. The next time you come down, I want to show you my hunting and fishing. Did you ever see an Ann?
What is this? The picture of what?
My hunting and fishing book of all the pheasants we shot at Tule Lake, and all the albacore, and we caught, and the yellowtail. My
Whose
cousin,
boat did you borrow that could have it any time you wanted? Whose boat was it? I
was
never-
Blackie's, and
Well, I
then,
know, but you wouldn't build your own boat, so.
well, we had Blackie's boat, and then we had this wrecking outfit, he'd take us, and then we had this another electrical guy. Man, I'll tell you, of all the fishing I've ever done, you get in the school of albacore, and that is pandemonium. I mean, it's the greatest. Jim's been a little bit of it, and
Now,
and here's a guy's got a full
Your
house,
mother knew about it.
and here's a guy's got a straight.
Yeah,
See,
your mother and dad both knew
man,
about
I was a shoe clerk. See,
it. Well, I told him.
hey, when you were a kid and you lived in Montana, your mom came down to Los Angeles.
But I helped them
Right.
me wrap the box.
Yeah.
And why did she decide to move you down to L.A. from Montana?
my mother,
I don't know why.
we lived in Montana, so my
when you
aunt
looked at it, you thought, is
and
that
her
real?
family lived in Los
Yeah, there
Angeles.
was one like that.
So one winter, my mother says, I'm going to take a trip down Los Angeles. And she made that trip, and you know how nice it was. No snow, no ice. And she came back, and she said, I'm never going to spend another winter in Montana. And we didn't.
And they did.
Damn the
So
show.
how did you move from Montana down to
On a boat.
L.A.?
They came down on a boat.
We had all our stuff shipped. I don't know how we did it. But we took a train at Great Falls and took a train to Portland, Oregon.
Got on a boat. 1925.
Want to tell it all, honey? You want to tell it all?
You do.
See, Jeff, I can't even tell a story. That's my mother already. Anyway,
What year was this, though?
1925. we-
20, 23, 24.
So when you got to Portland, Oregon,
So
then
when
what?
you got to Portland, we stayed all night with my aunt there. That was Sylvia and her family.
Who's Sylvia's?
Then we boarded
Sylvia.
the,
Sylvia's mother.
Annie.
it was an Admiral line. We
Annie
boarded
That's who we've been trying to figure
a
out.
boat on the river, and we took this river boat, then it hit the ocean, and it was beautiful sailing on the river, And Jeff, when we got to the ocean, man, we started, man, I don't think I got too sick, but boy, we were kind of woozy. And then we went
You weren't
down
drinking,
the
were you?
ocean. Pardon?
You weren't drinking, were you?
No, hell, I was only 12 years old. And,
Okay.
Were you chewing some snooze?
pardon?
Do you have any snooze? Were you chewing some snooze?
I'm not hearing too
Can't hear
good.
you.
You know the chewing the snooze.
Were you chewing tobacco?
No, hell no. We never smoked. We never did anything.
That's why you lived so long.
But I had a brother, and his name was John. And he was, so he was with us, and so when we got to the ocean, we stopped at Frisco. And that's when they had a saltwater pool there at,
Fly shackers. Fly shackers.
Yeah, Fly Shacker's cool. Salt water.
and,
That's where our honeymoon.
and Mom said, he said, you can either go swimming or you can take the roller coaster. And Jesus, I took the roller coaster. And Jeff, I mean to tell you, I was a kid from the boondocks, and that thing made that boom. I got off of that. And my brother, he was a good swimmer, and he went in the pool, and he dove off the highest platform, 25 or 30 feet. He was a good swimmer.
What was the name of your brother?
John.
Where's
Yeah.
John
Lester.
at? What happened to John?
He died just before I met him. He got Phoenix, he overate and he got Phoenix, and the mother gave him a physics because he thought he had busted his Phoenix. And it's before they had sulfur and stuff like that, and he died of a busted Phoenix.
Oh, when you finally got down to L.A., what was your first thought? Did you like it?
I went to, you ever been to Los Angeles?
Oh, the airport.
No. You ever been there, Ann?
The airport.
We went to Vernon, Vermont, and I thought I was downtown. It was only Vernon, Vermont. And that's
You guys
when we
landed
had
in Long
Model
Beach?
Ts, all Model Ts, Fords, and
Did you go to Long Beach? Is that where the boat docked at Long Beach?
Where is your boat, Doc?
yeah, it boat docked down to San Pedro, and I guess my Aunt Lil, Bud's mother, came down and got us and brought us from the dock. Then we rented a place about a mile from my cousin's, and they said, you got to enroll in school. So I went to school, and I went to 37th Street School. Solid black.
He was the only white guy in the...
I was one of the 2 or 3 white guys in the whole school.
Did you get along okay?
Man, no, I had to fight my way out. But, like I say, these kids had more money and were smarter in a lot of ways than I was. So I couldn't feel sorry for the black kids, because they had, at that time, in 1924, 25, they had a lot of stuff going for them. They just got lazy and just didn't want to do it. But, man, I finally, but you don't realize it when you're out of the, only kids that are white, man.
That'd be hard.
So I had to kind of run home a few times too. And they stuck together. They beat you up. They catch you. Sure. They
He was
beat you up.
fast. Cecil was fast.
That's what made him fast. He run home from school.
So we finally moved out to 67th Street. Then we had a house there. Then we finally moved out to 102nd Street and bought a house.
How did you
And,
make a living?
102nd.
Well, his mother worked for a sewing, sewing garments. That's how she said that.
But those are
We went to
depression years.
Russia,
You
we
couldn't.
came back.
I went to go for a job,
They said,
a
"White
block
guy."
long line
We
for
were
kids.
down his street. He
It
wanted
was
to
tough.
see us.
Those were tough days.
When you did get a job, though, how much did they pay you?
Well, I went all through school. I belonged to the Scout Troop, and he printed throwaways like ads for markets, and you got $1 for 500 or 1,000. You get up at 4 in the morning, get into the room. We did that twice a week, and then that's where we got our spending money.
And him and his brother lived in part of a garage that they built on the side of the house. And he'd come in at 4 o'clock in the morning, shaking, and his brother would cuddle him.
Story, I was here from Virginia.
Mhm.
Is that the next thing that happened is you had to build a house. Was
Yeah.
that before you met Virginia?
No,
Yeah, my mother
No.
come in 19, we just got married.
I got so damn mad at her because every
37,
time
38.
I wanted him to help me, he had to go to his little mama and build her house.
Yeah, but oh, I just remembered though, between that though, he was the dancing king.
Oh, yeah.
Well, my first thing happened, my mother rented a trailer on 102nd Street, and she bought this trailer for how much?
I don't know.
Anyway, she put that trailer, and she lived in it. You know, she used to go away and work
Green.
at all these resorts, like, well, she worked up at Tahoe, at Glenbrook, and she'd go to Death Valley,
She's a
and
friend
where else she going?
guy up at Glenbrook.
And so she was just there. She was just there a few times, a few months, you know. And when she come home, she'd stay in that trailer. Then she rented out her house for a few bucks. So all of a sudden, boom, the county says, no more living in that trailer. So
They got by with it, but you know.
so she said to me, she says, how about you build me a house?
I'll buy you a saw if you build me a house.
Yeah, well, she didn't buy me a saw, but
I
she
know
said, build me a
didn't.
house.
Said she would.
I said, I don't know how to build a house. Yeah, you can build it. So I built her a little one-bedroom house.
You go over and look at the house being built and see where that 2x4 came, you go back, do a window, you go back over there and look, see where they're putting things like that, and you go back, that's how you built the house.
But that's after he was married to you.
And
Yeah,
Jeff,
and I had
next door was a studio
apple boxes
carpenter.
for cabinets.
And you know, do you ever notice a window, how difficult they are to build? Up and down, a double sash window?
No.
Well, I instead of going out and buy the frames, I built the window. Well, this fellow, this carpenter, he was an expert, and he showed me how to build windows, and it was a real experience. He worked at the studio, and he made big money, $1 an hour.
I didn't think it was right that Nora
And,
had him going over every day
so,
Saturday and Sunday.
With the help of the guy in the broomstick,
I had 2 little kids in
I
the
built
garage
the house.
I had no
and
cabinets.
we had a plumber
But
come
then the
out,
apple boxes
and they
stacked
put all the
up,
plumbing in
cement floors,
for $100,
cardboard walls.
$20 to $5 a fixture.
I knew it was right.
Yeah,
And
and
then
furnished the
she
tub,
was trying
the
to-
lavatory, and
Oh,
toilet.
$67.
Hey, when you bought Grandma Virginia her wedding ring, how much did that cost?
Virginia?
That wedding ring was full of diamonds. It had
Yeah,
20
I don't know. I
diamonds.
think I stole it.
I can't remember. I don't really.
But you know, Jeff,
Told me how much it cost.
I had guys working at Weber's that come out and work for Saturdays for me for $1 a day and their lunch, and helped me build my mother's house.
We built a 1,700 square foot house. It took us 13 months, and we built it.
What was the address? Do you remember?
The what?
The address.
What's that?
What was
The
the
street
address?
address.
Crafton, wasn't it? The Crafton house, is that what you built?
What was the address?
6612.
Crafton Avenue.
We were the first house on the block. We had the biggest house in Bell. We had the first television in Bell. We had the first Buick convertible. And Donnie and Jimmy, Dolly especially, thought, oh boy, we were really rich. Then we had a place at Laguna Beach. And boy,
And
everybody.
you had a plate glass window.
and a plate glass.
You're a pretty damn lucky woman.
I know, I really am, but I worked it. You know what happened, and then now we're gonna quit.
For cash, we didn't have any money.
You know what I paid for Jim's wedding ring? I was with you, I think $25.
Probably.
14 karat gold is nothing, they just throw it away.
That's incredible.
How long did he wear it though?
15 minutes.
Where is that
How much
wedding
do
ring?
class rings cost then? I mean, this is 14 karat, this is 10 karat gold.
On, and I come up and the boots stay in the ground, and I come out of the boots because they're stuck in the mud. That was the muddiest field. We used to walk through it to try to get feathers.
Tell us about Oklahoma now.
Okay. All right. My dad went to University of Oklahoma, and my mother's born in Dakota, and they met at Oklahoma University. I think before Craig graduated. They met, got married, and had 3 children, and then became California. By that time,
What were the name of your brothers and sisters?
Ruth was the one that died, and Katie is the one you know.
You didn't have any brothers?
No brothers.
Ah.
And my dad wanted a boy so bad. First one he wanted a boy. He gave up. The second one was me. And he just was sick because I wasn't a boy. He was going to make a cowboy out of me. Then we had another one 3 years later. He said, you know, I'd have gone behind the barn and tried if it done any good. But he said, I knew it wouldn't do any good. So he had 3 girls. And here his sister had 3 boys. And she wanted a girl so bad. So anyway, we lived there. And then we all came to Oklahoma, to California. 7 Model Ts. And we started, and it took us 30 days coming from Oklahoma to California. 30 days. We stayed night after night, and then we had all our stuff shipped to Reno.
Wait, about what year was this?
1923. And my dad had a 1923 Model T, and the rest, he had the newest car. The rest of them were 1918, 1919 Model Ts. He had a crank them.
You must have been pretty well off as far as money goes, huh?
Well, my dad had sold his farm and all his horses. He had these great big, like Clydesdale horses. He had those, and he sold them, and he got quite a bit of money. My sister and I had to go to school on a horse, and so we had a horse called Pep, kind of a pony, and we went to school with that, and my dad would put the corn for us to feed the horse at lunchtime, and we'd forget, so we hid it under covers on the way home. We have to think about it. And one day my dad went to fix the covers, and here he had all that corn there. I don't know if we ever got a whipping for it or not, but we should. And we had an Indian. We lived in the Indian, owned our house, and this Indian place, they had these old sick ponies that were skinny, and so Emmett was a first grader, I was a second grader, Clara was a third grader, and my sister and Clara would ride on our pony, and we'd change horses, you know, and I'd ride with the Indian, and that Indian pony would beat our fat little, taken care of, good little pony, and it beat it, and we all got lice from the Indian.
How'd you get rid of the lice?
Boy, my mother was so straight. She put purple stuff in her hair. She did everything, got rid of the lice. Just before we came out to California, and I was 8 years old, we decided to all get together, all the relatives, 7 Model T. We started out, we probably went 200 miles till we had a breakdown. Every time we went a little while, one car either had a flat tire, or a rear end went out, or something. So it took us 30 days to come from Oklahoma to California. And we had my grandfather had a sister that lived here, so in Bell, that's how we went to Bell. So we all came to California, and that's where we were. So cut it off. Jimmy's got the whole book. My grandmother wrote every diary.
I didn't bring that price out, I'm sorry.
Made
They
from
came
that
through Lake
day.
Tahoe, Jeff. They
Yeah.
came through Lake Tahoe and
On
their
Donner's Pass. And then we got pictures of Donner's Pass.
They went by Bowers Mansion, they wrote about Bowers Mansion
Oh,
in
Yeah,
their
it's not
diary.
how when they came through.
it's changed quite a bit, huh?
Yeah. And so we all ended up in Bell, and we'd never seen electric lights before. And I remember we rented a house, and I went, push the button, off and go the light, flush toilets, never had that before. So it was all new to us, because we were really from the country, way back in. Where he went to school, I think that's where my folks met. And Oklahoma, what school in Oklahoma did you go to? My dad was principal of a school in Oklahoma.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
She said they met at the university or something.
Really?
Grandma.
Yeah, Grandma and Grandpa met at Oklahoma University.
What city? Norman?
City or
Was it Norman or Moore?
Norma?
Norman? That's right.
I know, that's where you were. Now Donnie went to school in Shawnee, is it Shawnee, Oklahoma?
No idea.
Baptist University, that's where Donnie went to school.
I didn't know that. Well, tell us more about your Grandma Crow, your mom.
It was my dad's mother, and the most wonderful woman in the world. And she was one that wasn't very well. She's from a Browning. The Brownings came over in the Mayflower, and she was from the Brownings. They're kind of highfalutin people, but she kind of lowered herself and married a Crow, which was my grandfather, which was a crap. But anyway.
I did too.
There's a
Yeah.
famous poet. There's a
But she
famous
had-
poet called Elizabeth Barrett Browning.
Yeah, he was related to that. But anyway, and my grandmother was so smart. She wrote poems and everything, and she didn't have a real good education, but she was so smart and so nice, and she came over, she traced her ancestors back to the Mayflower. And my grandfather, which is Crow was his name, he is related to Pat Boone, and he traced his ancestors back to Danny Boone, the married an Indian.
You're kidding.
His relatives married an Indian. I don't know who was named, but some big thing. So that's
So when did your dad die?
my dad, 92. He lived to
How old was he?
Pardon?
How old was he?
92.
And what about
92 years old.
what about your mother?
106 and a half. She died in November, and she was 106 in June, and we had a big party up at Elk Bend, up in Idaho. We took her to Elk Bend, and she didn't want to go. And every year we kind of hurried around and everything. And we said to her, she says, I don't want to go up there. We said, well, do you want to stay here by yourself? You just stay here by yourself, because Catherine and I had their houses up there. And she says, I'll go. So we started out, and I got to talking to my sister, and my mother said, yakety, yakety, yak. All I got to hear is yakety, yakety, yak. And I said, Mother, I have to talk to keep Catherine awake so she won't go to... And then my sister was going, and my mother says, will you please drive? She don't know how to drive, and she said, I want to go home. I don't want to go to Idaho. I want to go home. And Virginia, you better drive, because she don't know how to drive. That's what my mother said, and she wasn't senile. I don't know why she said that, but she didn't want to go to Idaho. I said, just be quiet, we're taking Idaho. And she was up there, and she was fairly good. Well, Jimmy and Melinda came over, and they had a big dinner. And my mother, they had this big plate, and Jimmy and Craig eat. And they started taking, and my mother looked innocently up, and she said, you gonna take it all? Oh, gosh. I got a picture, and that was so funny, because she gonna take it all?
Okay, time out. Let's go back now to when you were a young, pretty little thing working at the drugstore in L.A.
Yeah, sob story.
That was your...
I lied and told them I was 14. I got my license when I was 13 for driving a car. And I lied because I wanted to work. So I told them I was 14. They hired me at Woolworth at 13. And so I worked there. And then, you lie once, you get caught in another lie. And my sister, she came to work for them, and they're 16 months difference. Well, they said, how could that be your sister? And she's 14, how could you be 14 too and be your sister? And I said, well, I was adopted. So I stayed at Woolworth's for years.
How many years?
I was there about 12 years, I guess. I got married while I was at Woolworth's. I was gonna quit, and cause I thought the boss didn't like me, and I said to the boss, I'm gonna turn in my, I'm gonna give you 2 weeks notice, cause I thought he was gonna fire me, it's so snotty to me. And I worked my head off. I'd come early and stay late and everything. And so then pretty soon he sent the secretary down. She said, if you will stay, he'll give you $1 a week raise. And I didn't care about the money. By that time I was making more money than anybody in the store. The most they paid was $17 and I got $18. And so I already cared because he wanted me to stay. So that's why I stayed there. And then I met this idiot and got married. And he was mad. He didn't want me to work.
How many years have you been married?
63 years in
Thank you.
September.
You're welcome.
63 years. Cecil, are you still
Yeah,
pretty
she's
happy
the
after
best.
63
She's
years?
still,
Are you pretty happy after 63 years?
at times,
Oh, God, am I going to have to have that television all night?
she's got some bad habits she's acquired in 52 years.
I learned all my bad habits from him. Everyone. I was a good little girl and everything until I met him.
I'll tell you, Jack, she is really a good gal at times, but at times she's streetwise. At times.
I remember when Jeff got married, 29 years old.
I do remember that, Grandma. If you didn't, I'd be worried.
At least both of you beat 30, huh?
Yeah.
He's not 30.
We got another one who's trying to beat 40. You think he'll make it?
Who's that? Kenny? Oh. Call this Glenn. Go to hell.
How old is
But Glenn has a family, he may not have,
Glenn's 39, I think.
Glenn's born in, next year he'll be 40. He's born in July. We had I keep telling you, your grandsons were born in 60, all 3 years. 63, 66 was Craig, 69 was Kurt, and then
Ann was a
Next year.
misfit.
she was
But I met Virginia and she was, been married before, she's already experienced, see? So she picked up, said, I'll take this little Cecil, I'll educate him. I'll teach him, I'll show how to run him around, right, honey?
What did she teach you?
You know, the worst thing was, I met him, I said, you know that guy, just because I went out with him once, why does he hang around? I don't even want to go out with him anymore. He said, he thinks because I went out with him once, I'm going to go with him every Saturday night. So he's telling lies, he said that.
Hey, Grandma. If he was so full of himself, how'd you end up marrying him?
Ask me, I'd like to
I
know.
was so full of it.
She was saying that you're full of yourself. That
My
you
dad.
used to hang around like you thought she's going to keep going out with you.
I don't know.
I tried to get rid of him, I couldn't get rid of him. And you know, the worst thing was, my dad says, you gonna go with that gangster? He looked like a gangster. He had one of those heavy blue
Blue
hat
shirt,
down on
coat,
the
you
side.
know, wrap
is that
around,
kind of like
and I wore a green,
You have a Zoot
green
suit wrap
hat.
on?
Is that kind of like being a hippie now?
Probably, because he was typical.
Yeah, I was one of the best dancers in town, you know.
Yeah, I was going with a guy, I wasn't going with him, but I knew him in the store. And he said, I saw your boyfriend down at the hut in a white suit. And he said he had slipped and fell on the floor after him.
Don't say that. You're on candid camp.
Did you have a few too many ice cream sodas?
He went with Bud Flanagan, his cousin, and he drank.
Yeah? What were they drinking in those days? Were they drinking beer or were they drinking cocktails?
What were you drinking?
Well, a beer was what do they call it, give you a little courage.
Liquid courage.
Yeah. So if you had a beer before the dance, you weren't scared to ask anybody to dance.
He'd go up and
Kinda
ask
pepped
my
you up.
girlfriend, he went up and asked her, he said, said, may I have this dance? And she said, no, thank you. And he said, I didn't want it for myself. I want it for my boyfriend. I was only asking for him. Isn't that a sarcastic thing?
And I met Virginia through a girlfriend of hers. She works at the store. I met her girlfriend down at Redondo. They had a lot of real nice dance places to dance. I finally got to go with her. So I was going with her and through the store. I broke up with her, and so to get Virginia, to get the other girl to go, I made a date with Virginia. And I took her out on was it a blind date, honey?
Yeah. You fell in love.
No. We went to Portero Country Club, and I had it in Missouri, and she couldn't give it up, so she put it on the Model T and brought it up to Oklahoma in 1923, and then 5 Model Ts started out for California, and it took us a month to get out here, and this was on top of their Model T. So then my dad took it when she died, and then when he died, I took it. And Cecil's grandmother, and when she died, his mother got him. When she died, Cecil got him.
How old are they?
About 110, more, a little more. They're way over 100 anyway. And you want to get that,
Okay.
this was a little doll that my mother got for she was 6 years old when she got it. She died at 106, so and it broke its hands. I took it to the doll hospital, and they put new arms on it. So I keep that. And
Okay.
this is Cecil's grandparents sitting on the great-grandparents' lap. This was taken in Germany, and this is his grandmother, and this is his grandmother, so it'd be great-great-great-great-grandmother and father. That's an oldie.
Okay.
This is my grandmother's house, and that's where I get all my pack rat things, because she has all this stuff. See how they used to have, there's a picture that I got, and this little dog is 100 and some years old and hasn't even been broken, and it's sitting up there on the mantle, picture of it.
Where?
I think that's it. I know it's upside down. I don't know where it is.
Where was this picture at?
That was taken in Missouri.
In about what year?
Ooh, boy, I don't know. We came out here in 23, so it must have been in 1910 or 1906 or sometime in there. My grandma looks like a pretty young person. See that tea kettle? Well, that tea kettle was a aluminum tea kettle that we brought out from Oklahoma. And with 5 Model Ts, they boiled over every time we turned around, so we called this Grandma's tea kettle. And I was up to Modesto one time, and I saw that tea kettle didn't have a handle or anything. And I said, where's that tea kettle? She said, that's the old one we brought out from Oklahoma, and they had it outside. I said, well, are you going to throw it out? And she said, yeah, I don't want it. She says, so Cecil brought it home, and he started shining it up and found out it was copper underneath it. And so it's so old, and there's a book that my grandmother wrote and told about the old tea kettle, so that's why we kept it. So Mother typed it. And
Wait, who wrote it?
My grandmother.
Oh.
She was a smart woman. She never had any education, but she wrote poems and everything. She's from the Browning. They came over in the Mayflower, and she's from they're kind of a rich people. Thought they were hot rich anyway. And she wrote this of our whole trip when we start out, and then she illustrated it with little things all along wherever we went. Took us a month to come from Oklahoma out here every time we stopped, and she illustrated with the children. There were 6 grandchildren, and she took pictures. You know, when we camped out, can you imagine? We were all in camp. Some places we only went 30 miles for one whole day. She called Catherine and Jemmer kids, and she called the oldest boy, and this was me. Ernest and Virginia's was Daddy's girl, and so that was always me. And this was Spot. And whenever she showed pictures, she'd cut these out and show them. And that's when it's camping. But it's interesting to read. But I think I had it recopied, and I think Jimmy has a copy of it. So, and she wrote a lot of poems. We had never seen the ocean before, and that's one of the deserts. But she kept writing all kinds of poems, and she had a lot of them published just in the papers, the newspapers. Here's a Casting Jammer kid. That's Catherine and Joe. Joe's the one that sent you the money, for the wedding. That you can't get his address. This is just interesting. Jimmy loves to read it. He never did get it finished, so I think I made a copy of it and sent it up to him. And she collected things out of the magazines. And Jimmy said it ought to be published because it's so interesting. My room is a mess that you wouldn't believe. Like it's too everything.
All right, nobody.
Nobody better look at it because now I can't swim.
You can't. Why not?
I ain't got enough breath. So I have to go when it gets all panic. When it goes
Grandma, use one of these.
Yeah, here.
If
Mom?
you hang on to this will help keep you afloat, and that is real fun.
fine. Huh? With all my breath. I never could swim. Never. I took swimming lessons, and I didn't have the breath. Remember we used to go down in your far high school at night? Took swimming lessons?
That's pretty neat. Keeps you up, huh, those things?
Oh, God. A lifesaver.
It's a life preserver, yeah.
You know, I can hear that's her luggage, like she had bombs in a way. One bad one.
What did Grandma just do to you, Jeff?
Come over here and I'll show you the cards she passed me.
Doing the cards I gave you the last time.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
You got a wicked grandmother.
All right, are we all ready?
Jeff, did you teach Ann how to play?
I think Ann knew how to play.
Okay, who plays first?
I play first since I've got 2 clubs.
2 clubs. How low can you get?
I don't know.
You got to figure that you got a lot of one side
Whoa!
set. The other guy.
Okay, your turn, Grandma.
I think I'll take that my stinking partner guy next door don't have. I hope he has a club.
You remember what you passed me?
Hey. But there's no point in it. That's why I think, well, I forgot about that, eh? That's a good day to get rid of it, huh?
Let's try that suit again.
Somebody.
And see, I'm out of that suit.
And so you
I'm out of
put
that
a
suit.
heart on, huh?
No, I ain't trumping a heart on it, but I'm trumping a real bad card.
Oh,
Why is the king bad?
that's what I
Because it
gave
could
Craig.
take the queen of spades, and it would be worth 13 points otherwise.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to get it.
What's the suit lead in?
Club.
Clubs was lead.
Okay, now put that down and
Well,
go.
King gave me 13. I got it. What did choice would I have?
All right, so this is where I start
Take that.
dumping points. I'll give you that.
But you have to play this.
Did I play the 8? Oh, Cecil takes it.
Cecil got a point.
His hair.
Who?
Blonde. Jimmy did. And at that time I had blonde hair. So the vice principal was a Gestapo. I didn't like him anyway because I should have won PTA Woman of the Year. And instead of giving it to me that year, they gave it to me the next year, but they should have given me it that year. They gave it to that stupid the principal of school, because I don't know why, but they just gave it to him. Anyway, he was a Gestapo, which Cecil, he allowed no child, man, kid, to wear black pants. Black pants or even dark blue. They all had to have a different color. I don't know, he's nuts. And he had butch haircuts. Made him have real, they were so strict. And so Jimmy bleached his hair. Here he's an A student, belongs to that society, society. And he's an angel in school. All the women in PTA used to envy me because little Jimmy would come in. He'll kill you if he hears you. Little Jimmy would come in from high school in the PTA meetings, you know, he'd sit there and he'd have all the school books here. Well, the guy and the president and all the women there, they envied me because their kids act like they didn't even know him, you know. The mother would come by and they'd run or hide, they didn't want. Jimmy took me around and introduced me to all his teachers. And they'd say, you have such a nice boy there. He is so nice. That's what they all said about Jimmy, because he was a very good student. And I think he got in with a crowd that competition, see who could get the A's, you know. And then in school, so he bleached his hair. We got him a car. I think he got Donnie's car. And he went and he was just getting to know girls, didn't go out with girls much. He had a darling girl he was going with, and he had a date with her, and Cecil was going to go hunting, and she says, well, if you go hunting instead of this date, we're through. And he said, that's too bad. I'm going hunting. He did. He went hunting, and that ended that. She was cute, too. But anyway, then at night, he worked at a place where they had sold ice cream. And he was innocent as a babe in woods. And I grew gardenias, big, beautiful gardenias. And he'd pick gardenias and take them over to the girls where he worked. He was only about 16 or 17 then. And they thought he was a living angel. So they'd bring him home sometime. I think they taught him the ways of life. I'm not sure, but they all would, because he was so nice to them, you know. Well, anyway, I see he's trouble. Yeah, he released his hair. The principal called me up on the phone and said, Miss Morris, will you come up and talk to me? And I said, okay. He said, what are we going to do with the little blonde? I said, I don't see anything wrong with it. I bleached my hair, and I don't see anything wrong with it. I said, that's your problem. And he said, well, I don't allow that in school. And I said, well, you take care of it. I said, I got enough to worry about. The thief was in the hospital about that time. So he said, well, I'll have to expel him. He needs to get his hair cut, or I'll have to expel him. And I said, that's the problem. So, Jimmy, you don't get Jimmy. He don't give up. So he went to another school, Huntington Park High, where he knew the coach there, and he went in to talk to the coach, and he says, Principal Wade, if I get kicked out of Bell High, will you take me into Huntington Park? And he said, sure. He said, I bleached my hair. She said, it don't matter. And so he came back and he told Roos, that was his principal, he said, doesn't matter, I can go to Bell High, Huntington Park High. I've already talked to the principal and he'll take me. And then he said, no, we don't want to do that. He says, tell your mother to cut your hair real short and you can come back in school. Now, Jimmy was about a senior then. I guess he didn't want any more trouble. So he did cut his hair, and boy, he cut it under. He was mad when he cut it, you know, but I guess he figured it was best to cut it and go back. Oh, I know the principal says, how can you give your mother all this trouble when your dad's in the hospital? Why don't you think of somebody besides yourself? You're making your mother nervous, and here your dad's in the hospital with cancer. And he said, I don't think you should do this. So I think that's why Jimmy did it, more or less. Went back to school, started off. I had very little trouble with Jimmy. Of course, the last year his grades kind of went down a little bit, because when you get a car, you don't, you know, he had a Ford and he had it tucked and rolled. That's white. He took to Mexico and had leather tuck and roll, they called it in those days. Transmission was always out. He went to college with it, and he was he never swore. Now, if you can believe this, never heard him swear in his life. And Junkie was over there, and he dropped the transmission on his chest. He didn't have it upright, and he swore. He said a real bad swear word, and I cried. And Chuck came up and he says, what's the matter? And I said, I never heard Jimmy swear like that. And she said, oh, Miss Morris, you ought to hear him. He's in Tucson, Blue Street. And,
What kind? Do you remember which words he said?
yeah. Chuck had beat him up, and so he got up in the tree, and Chuck couldn't get up in the tree, and he was underneath it, and Jimmy spit out at him. Well, the mother, Chuck's mother's nuts, you will get him. You know what I'm afraid of is when Cecil and I die.
That was kind of sign of God.
That's what Catherine's very religious.
Catherine is.
Mm-hmm. And Jim was too. They went to church every Sunday and quite religious, and so she just kind of thought, and it eased her mind. You know, it was a kind of a, like you in the, you know, what you're thinking and worried about and everything.
Do you believe in God?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Cecil?
Yeah. Yeah, he joined the church when they used to be Lutherans, his family, and we were Baptists, so he used to be sung in a quartet of the Baptist church. And we had a wonderful Sunday school teacher, and he was president of the class, but we quit, you know, when we moved. We went back to the Baptist church in Hemet, and the darn pews were so hard that my back wouldn't take it, so I just quit going. That's an excuse, but it really isn't. It is an excuse, but I just used that. I wiggled and wormed, and my back hurt, and I got up, and finally I said, never again am I going to come sit in those pews.
Do you listen to the TV evangelists on Sunday?
They're all crooks. I found one. My mother found one she thought was good. You know, they're all crooks, I think. I have such a terrible, you know, that like that Swaggart. Okay, he's back now. And like Janet, I used to watch Janet and Paul. They have that Christian church. And I really liked them. And all the time I was in bed sick, I was listening to their music, and I'd watch the kids grow up singing there. But then when he got this other guy, and he's got so many crooked preachers in there, I've lost all my faith in him. She's the one that wears a blonde wig and hair and everything, and she got worse and worse. Worse than Tammy Baker. But, so I don't even watch them unless this couple that sings a lot. I like to listen to their songs. But there's a guy, and I can't think of his name because I can't think of names very good. And he believes that divine healing. Now, there may be such a thing as divine healing. I'm not saying there isn't, because I suppose Christian Science, you think you could heal. Now, Cecil thinks he's sick sometimes. If he gets his mind off, he's not sick. So I know mind's over matter. But anyway, I don't believe that this guy, I've seen too many crooked things. This guy will go up there and he'll blow on you. He'll walk, he'll say, and he'll shove you down. And they all have a guy there to catch him and bring him back up. And he says, you can see when he blows that darn and pushes. That's just so fake. And Paul and this girl have him on her show, so that I lost got a faith in them. And they're always begging for money. That's all they, you know. And look what Tammy Baker and Jim Baker did. And it just seems like money, money, money. I guess the guy that's really good is the one that had, when he was hurried for Clinton. What's that guy's name?
Bill Hybels?
No, guy, he's really, Graham, Billy Graham.
Billy Graham.
I
He's a good mayor.
I kind of think he is. But the guy that has a church, the Glass Cathedral down in California there, the Glass Cathedral, well...
The guy, he's got something wrong with his ear or his nose?
No. No, never noticed that.
You haven't? Look next time. He's got a piece of his ear missing. A big piece of his nose missing.
Oh, why? That kind of ugly guy? No, I don't. He's not with them.
Oh.
Not. No, the guy has a cathedral. He used to be from Oklahoma, and this girlfriend of mine married, and the guy she married, Price Pearson, his son went to his church, and he's preaching for that same church, for the Glass Cathedral. And I don't know, it's all for money, and naturally they got to have money. That's what my dad, he always gave a tenth of his thing. He said they have to have money. So he'd give a tenth of his money to the church. But my dad was a guy that, like Donnie had a boyfriend that was poor, and he wanted to go to school somewhere. And my dad, he didn't want anybody to know, but we found out he was sending the guy money. And he didn't have too much, but he was sending the guy, he would do things like that. And I remember a tramp came to our back door, and I went out there, and I said, he said, can I have some money or something? I went in and got $1, and I only made $12 a week, and I gave him $1, and they got after me for having him come. So a few nights later, my dad, I saw a window here, and I heard somebody coming, breaking the screen, trying to get in, and it was only this far from the porch. So I hollered to my dad. My dad is not scared of the devil himself. My dad jumped out of bed, and the only thing he grabbed was a bottle of milk used to get in a glass container, and he threw that at him as he ran down the driveway. And he had to go out and pick all the glass up. Never caught the guy, but...
He missed.
Mm-hmm.
He missed the burglar?
Yeah. Another time, things like that happen. My sister that I have now treats me like I'm the young one and she's the older one. She does everything for you, and she was not my favorite sister. My favorite sister died. Lived here in Palm Springs and died. But then I got acquainted with Catherine. It was because I never cared for Catherine's husband too well. And
How many sisters did you have?
2. The oldest one died at 68, and then Catherine is 84.
And you are?
And I'm 87 next July. So we were 3 years apart, and my other sister and I were just 16 months apart, so we were real close. And we pestered. Catherine was a pest. We shoved her out of everything. We lied to her and told her ghosts were after her, and if she didn't give us any candy, they'd eat her up. And we were terrible to her. No wonder she's a nervous wreck. But anyway, I took her to the show one day. And now this is in the olden days where you're not supposed to have trouble. We were about a mile. We had to cross the railroad track, and they were giving turkeys away at that show, way over in Maywood. So somehow or another, I don't know how my folks had ever let me go. But Catherine and I walked over to the show. Well, when we was coming home at 11 o'clock at night, me carrying this turkey that we'd won, and Catherine, just 3 years younger, but to me she was a baby, and here some guy comes by showing himself, hiding behind the trees, following us home. And we had to go across the railroad track, down in a gully, and on up to get over to another street. And so I cussed him out. I said, you dumb. I called him everything I could think of. I was probably only 15 maybe. So that made Catherine about 12. And I said, I'm going to call out cops on you. And I said to Catherine, now you take that turkey and go while I stand here and hold him off. Isn't that the most stupid thing? So she went down with the turkey down there and up the thing. And I said, now call me when you get over there. So pretty soon I heard her call, and I started running, and I ran down there. We got home. Was I scared?
That's
Jeez,
pretty gutsy.
I was so mad at him to do that to my younger sister, that it just made me so mad. I think I'd have killed him. I'd have tried anyway.
But he was exposing himself.
That's all he was doing, but that's enough. Dumb jackass. Hiding behind a tree and then come out again in front of us. And I should have picked up if I could have found something. But we had that darn turkey with us. And if I could have found something, I think I would have picked up something and thrown at him, I'm sure. But I didn't. And we got up by it. Oh, another time.
So you're not afraid of people like that?
Not if I get mad enough.
What? Are you afraid of anything? What are your darkest fear?
Water.
You were in the pool yesterday.
I can't swim, though. I can't no breath, see, without emphysema. I can't breathe. I swam across the Colorado Lagoon, which is a long way, when I was a young kid before I was married, with my sister and her girlfriend. And I got over on the other side. There was an island on the other side. They were both good swimmers, but I didn't have any breath. But I got over there, and I got scared. I could not leave that island to get all that way back home. I started, and I got to thinking how deep it was. They said they'd never found the bottom. And I got so scared I was drowning. I had to call for them, and those two had to drag me practically across back to the thing. Scared me to death.
Well, back then, I'm sure you're afraid to die. Are you afraid to die now?
No. I just don't want to suffer. In fact, when I had that heart thing, I was actually praying to die then. I was in such pain. I just laid there, and the girl told me, you know, I had that blood clot, and they had to put me in a saddle with all this. That's 3 years ago. And it put me in this damn saddle, and then you had a catheter in you and everything else, and I had to lay there. It was about 2 o'clock, no, it was about 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night, and all alone, you know, and everything, and then the pain. I just couldn't take it. I said to the girl, I'll give you $10 if you'll take this thing off of me. Well, the nurse wouldn't do it, you know, and Cecil said it was stupid to even say it, but I had given her $100 if she'd do it. And she says, no, I can't do it, I'm sorry. But she says, at 2 o'clock, I'll come in and take it off. And I laid there and waited. Here comes that bird. Here comes that bird.
Wow. Okay, I'll stay.
15. Too many. You win. Oh, 20. 18. You win again. Your grandpa beat me.
What does dealers have to hit now?
The dealer has to hit
16 is it?
on anything less than 17.
Yeah, we,
What's the best game to play to win?
I don't think you can win. You at the casino? The losing proposition.
where do you think they get their money for all the big casino things and everything? But the people...
Okay, here it is.
Here
We're
it
playing
is.
Indian.
Indian.
Put that down so you can play. Oh, it's just all high card.
Well, I might as well fold. I can see that I...
But you don't know what you have in your head. You might have a real high card.
Tell me not to
The
fold.
advantage of looking at cards and seeing what you...
Stick in the game, Grandma.
One of those up there, huh?
Stick in the game.
Yeah, so you don't know it. We know what you have. That's a pretty good card too, Cecil, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. Okay, so we went around once, we bet. This one goes up. You can't look at it.
Is this guy serving life or...
Oh, I looked at it.
Okay, I'll give you the
I looked at it. Gosh, you know, I'm snoopy.
Okay, now we bet again. Cecil, you want to bet?
Oh, yeah, I'll bet.
Okay, I'll bet one, and then we quit.
I'm going to bet one and raise you two.
You're raising on it, you know.
I know, I have to know.
Remember what? I have a card down here you guys don't know about.
Never look at it again. It must be worth more than you.
It's the
You
end.
raise it one. I
Yeah.
have to call you. I gotta see how
I'll
this
forget
is
it.
played.
I'm not through.
Grandma, you got more cookies? This is the last game. You might as well use them.
Okay, one, it's a C.
Okay. All right, let's put down our cards.
Can we look at them
We can
now?
look at them. Oh, I got
Oh
a
my
terrible
gosh. I did pretty good. I must have won with this.
What's your hidden card? Oh, look at that. Virginia won it.
King, queen, and
You
jack.
won the fold.
Can you believe that?
And they're all hearts. My gosh. Do you have
This has been a better poker game if we've been playing King, queen, jack, ace, huh? Well, we gotta get going, Cecil. Gee, I hate to leave such good company.
Okay, how about one more game?
God, you know what time it is?
One
Honey,
more.
I gotta get,
I promise you this will be the last one.
okay.
Okay?
What game is this?
This will be Cecil's choice.
What's your choice?
Simple.
Oh, we used to play 7-card draw.
7-card draw. Play high.
Yeah,
Okay.
play down. And when my dad died, everybody wanted them. Mort wanted them, and everybody wanted them. And I took them. And they're in a box, you know. So I'm saving them for 23 years in my house. And I said, I'm going to get rid of those when Jimmy comes down. They're wooden vices, wooden, they turn. And old drills and everything, all made out of wood. An antique. I was going to give them to the antique place, and I never got around to it. So the other day, and it hasn't been more than 2 or 3 weeks ago, Jimmy came down and I said, Jimmy, wouldn't you like one of these tools, or all of them, or any of them? He looked at them, and he saw Ohio on one of them. But the guy that was telling me afterwards that was one in Budge. They had a big plane, all wood, and it had, you know when you have a clamp, it's all wood. It rolls in wood. So anyway,
So they're made
and Jimmy looked at
you could take this plane and run down and smooth that.
Anyway, they're valuable, real valuable.
Well, they're not really.
I could have got $50 a piece,
Well,
and I had 11
they may
or
have
12.
been, but
Well, anyway, but
if you
Jimmy
didn't know
came
what
out.
they were, you sure would
I
be.
said to Jimmy, why don't you take one of them? Because come down to the generation, and can't you put one of them in your garage or something? He kind of looked. He says, no, Mom, I don't want them. I got so damn disgusted because I had planned on him taking at least one of them.
You throw them out.
So then, store across from Woolworth, and I paid $8 for a monkey. He was so mean, bit everybody. I had him on a chain and got him at home, but couldn't play with him or do anything because he just was on me. In fact, he bit one of the guys that was the bus driver. But anyway, so I was looking at the store. A couple that I knew just from the store came in, and I says, I got a monkey and it's so mean. And they said, we got a monkey at home we would like to get rid of. We were going to move. So, and they said, we got a brother that would like to give you this. His name was, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. So anyway, they gave me this monkey, little Billy, 11 ounces, darnest little monkey. So we had to have him in the house. He would run for the sugar bowl, grab the sugar, and we had molding around, and up we'd go around there. We had it for 2 or 3 years. He'd ride the dog. We had a little dog, and he'd get on the back of the dog. We have pictures of him. So he was wetting, but we could never put him from wetting on his hands. He put his hands down as he wet on the toilet seat and wet on his hands. So my mother would be standing there with a cloth right quick to wipe his hands off and let him go. But he always would go into the toilet whenever he had to wet.
Wow.
And so we had him for all this time. I had him and just loved him. We had him during the earthquake, and I took him on my arm, went down to the bell, which had been hit pretty hard, you know, with the earthquake.
Now, would you say it was easier to train the monkey or Jimmy?
Well, Jimmy was easy to train. You know what they do with Jimmy? One time, standing there, showed him the water, and he laughed and flushed the thing, and he laughed. And the next time he had to go, he took my hand and wanted to go in there and flush it again. So went in there, and that's how I trained Jimmy. He didn't wear diapers after he was 9 months old, I don't think, at all. Only at night, maybe he did.
And he was walking at 9 months, too.
9 months, he was walking. And
Unbelievable.
I got pictures of it. Well, Donnie walked at 11 months. But anyway.
Maybe you can teach Eric how to do that. Can you teach Eric how to do that? Yeah, we're talking about you.
Your little monkey. Funny, my dad loved this monkey. And so he'd take him outside when he was out working in the shed, and we had a big walnut tree, and the monkey would climb up the walnut tree, you know, just stay there. And then when Dad went in the house, he always had peanuts, and he forgot him, and one of the neighbors threw a rock at him in the other street, and we found him dead on the ground. It didn't hit in the head.
Rest in peace, little
Yeah, it
monkey.
was so interesting. Boy, did we feel bad because he was so much fun. I'd come home from work and he'd run across the room and grab my earrings the first thing and pull them off. He did the cutest thing.
Sounds like something Peter would do.
He's so little tiny, 11 ounces. And so, you are the bow. Yeah, Crow Indian. That used to be my name.
Crow Indian?
But my mother would deny it. But it was from my dad's side. And Daniel Boone is supposed to be a relative some way. And he married a Crow Indian. A princess married a Crow Indian. That's how come we're supposed to have.
Smells good in here.
But not enough to get any money.
Spaghetti, but I'm boiling
16th,
water
you know,
right
you
now.
have to get any government money.
Oh, cookies.
And I'm not proud of it because, boy, in Montana, they hate the Indians up there worse than the colored.
What's this about Daniel Boone?
Well, he's supposed to be related. And my grandmother wrote a thing for my 11th grade to give a talk on Daniel Boone and a bunch of stuff. And then I found out Pat Boone says he's related to him, too. So then I thought, well, I don't know if it's just a saying or not, but my grandmother had a lot of things that it makes me so I'm embarrassed. Really, I am embarrassed.
So when you wanted to have a modeling career, you had your contacts?
Yeah, but what I was going to tell you about the
driver's
Chrysler convertible that he had, I said, you know, I want
This
to go.
was your boyfriend.
Yeah,
Were
Bill
you going with
Austin.
Cecil too?
No, hadn't seen him. I was only in high school then. So you want to go with somebody that's not in high school. They're all kids. So anyway, we went. I filled it all full of boys. Maybe there's a girl in there. We went to the football games. I didn't know how to drive very good. So here I am. I filled it full of all these kids, boys mostly, because they all want to ride, you know, to go to a game. We went clear to down to Long Beach, I think it was, from Bell High. So here I'm driving along, not knowing how to drive, you know, thinking you do, but you don't. And so I'm driving, I'm going by the Lyric Theater on Pacific Boulevard, and the guy was shifting for me while I was driving. He pulled his gear shift clear up. I had to go all the way home, let them out. They all got out, just running out, you know. I couldn't stop the car. So my boyfriend was at a barber shop, and I thought, boy, I'm going to make him mad. So I told him to wreck his car, you know, that the gear shift came out. He said, that's okay. Couldn't make him mad. And I said, you know, I had an all full of boys, too. You didn't get mad. I said, that's okay. Just friends. So I could ride on and on and on. The darling little baby. Look at he's hanging on to Grandpa.